Hey, today we're in part 7 of our series, The Fundamental List, Recovering the Essentials of Our Faith, where we're answering the question, what must a person believe? What must a person believe in order to be a faithful follower of Jesus? Real quickly, here's the fundamentals we've discovered so far. Number 1, Jesus is God's Son and our King. Number 2, Jesus came to illustrate and demonstrate what God is like. Number 3, Jesus defines sin as anything that harms you or others. And then number 4, Jesus promised justice in the end, and that he invites us to trust him in the meantime. Number 5, Jesus died for your sin to reconcile you to God. Then number 6, we talked about the church, that the church is God's agent of transformation personally, culturally, and globally, that Jesus left the church behind to represent him. So today, number 7 of 8 fundamentals, we're gonna begin by looking at Jesus' final command, his farewell command. In some ways, this was his farewell address. So here we go. Following the resurrection, Jesus appeared to his apostles and to the women who had been following him and others, and he told them he wanted to meet with them in Galilee. Matthew was in Galilee, and he documented what happened next. And here's what he said happened. The 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus told them to go. And when they saw him, they worshiped him. But, and I love this, I love how honest Matthew is. The text says, Matthew tells us, but I gotta be honest, some doubted. And then Jesus came to them and he said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Here's what they heard when Jesus said, all authority in heaven and on earth belongs to me. Here's what they thought. They heard him say, here's the implication of what he said. Ladies and gentlemen, Moses was your guy, Torah was your text, but the king has arrived. Therefore, go and make disciples. Now, in this phrase, the only command is make disciples. The implication is this: as you go, as you are going, as you are living, as you are doing life, wherever you do life and wherever you travel, your responsibility, if you're going to associate yourself with me, is to make sure you are engaged in some form or fashion with making more Jesus followers. For the rest of your life, part of your responsibility, as you go, as you raise your kids, as you do life, as you age, part of your responsibility, if you're going to associate with me, is to take on the mantle of responsibility of living your life in such a way and engaging with people in such a way that you multiply yourself, you replicate yourself, that there are more of us because of you than there was before. As you go, multiply. And then he says this, this is where they tap the brakes. Of all people groups, therefore make disciples, make more followers of me, of all people groups, of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Therefore, go and make disciples. Oh yeah, and as you're gonna baptize, and then maybe here's the most important part of this, teaching them. As you go and make disciples, there's a teaching element of this. And so we'll teach them what? I want you to teach them to obey, not just believe. I want you to teach them to obey. Well, obey who and obey what? Everything that I have commanded you. I want you to take what I have taught you, and I want you to replicate that, and I want you to live it out, and I want you to teach it to others. Remember my mountain message? Oh, remember your mountain message? There was so much. I want you to teach that. Remember the thing about the log and the eye and the speck? I want you to teach that. Remember the extra mile? I want you to teach that. Remember when I told you, you gotta fix it with them before you try to fix it with him? That you cannot fix it with him until you fix it with them? I wanna make sure you teach that. I want you to teach people to forgive regardless. I want you to teach people to be the Samaritan in that parable and not be the older brother in the other parables. I want you to teach them to do everything I have commanded you to do. What if obeying, not simply believing, what if obeying what Jesus taught had been the epicenter of our preaching and teaching all these years, for generations? If that's not enough, Jesus gives them a promise. Here's the promise he makes. If you do this, surely I am with you always to the very end of this current age. But here's the question: who is you. You, as believers who understand we're partnering with our King. You are the disciple makers. Are you with him on this? Is any of your time, are any of your resources already ahead of time allocated? That is part of the rhythm of your life, pre-decided, carved out. Is any of your time, are any of your resources allocated to making more followers of Jesus? Does any of your money or your time intersect systematically with the endeavors of a local church or an organization somewhere to make more disciples? In other words, do your resources and your time, does it intersect systematically with the mission of your King? Are you engaged, am I engaged in our King's business? Or are we too caught up minding our own? So number 7 on our list is simply this: Jesus followers are multipliers. This is something you have to believe whether you ever do it or not, because this is what Jesus said about his followers.